Hello and welcome to the couch. I am Julian Shelnut and this is episode 2. Today I'm joined with my friend Carson. Carson, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, you can.
All right. Yeah, my name's Carson, and I go to Virginia Tech. I'm a junior. I study finance, and I am a huge football fan, and unfortunately, a Carolina Panther fan.
That is very
And
unfortunate, especially with the past couple of years, extremely,
yeah,
extremely bad.
yeah, no, I'm going through the thick and
Yeah.
through though. I'm sticking in.
So we'll definitely be talking Panthers today because Carson's here. And, we'll be talking definitely about the Eagles' loss on Monday Night Football. I mean, that was one of the most catastrophic losses I've seen. I think ever. I think ever. Not like because of the stakes, because it's a regular season game, which obviously there's stakes too, but it's not like it's the Super Bowl or the playoffs, but oh my goodness.
Yeah, they looked good through part of it. I thought they were gonna wrap it up, and then just right at the end. I mean, yeah, I don't agree. Obviously, a lot of people don't agree with the call to pass there because it's like, I mean, you can wrap the game up if you get it, but I mean, I just think the safer thing is to run it. But in the end, it kind of didn't matter with how the Falcons' offense looked right after. I mean, Kirk was dicing y'all up, and I don't know, but Hurts played really well. I
Yeah.
think it was just, I mean, yeah, they kind of botched it at the end.
It
That was all.
to me, it's like yes, okay, the pass puts the game away, but you know how else you can put the game away? A run. You're getting 40 seconds off the clock, then go for it on fourth down. I mean, there's if you
Yeah,
that he clearly trusted the defense enough to not go for it on fourth down after. So he trusted the defense. So if you want to have that same mindset, go for it on fourth down.
Yeah, I get being aggressive there. It's kind of like how Dan Campbell was in last year's NFC
Yeah.
Championship. He was just a little too aggressive there, going for it on fourth down too much. Like I know you can have trust in the offense, but there's times where you just have to know what's the right call, and the smart call is just running it, taking the 40 seconds off the clock, going up by a few more points, or yeah, I mean just you go up by a few more points with time, with less time for them, and it's just a better chance to win.
And two, if you do trust the defense, and Kirk had a great drive. The Falcons did a great job getting down and getting like with time, but the Eagles still had 30 seconds remaining because they got down there so fast. I think that if you take the 40 seconds off the clock, they have to play a lot more conservative because they didn't have any timeouts left.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
so running the ball there, I think is the smart thing to do. And especially when you have the best short yardage play in football. Like literally the best short yardage play in football. I don't understand why you wouldn't run it and then take a chance on that. Maybe not maybe not with 4th and 3, but if you get a yard with the run, or honestly, do it twice in a row.
Yeah, I mean that's what I would have done.
There's no harm in doing it twice in a row except for maybe Jalen's knees. But
Yeah,
I mean, it's a Monday night game. I don't know. It was just it was just an absolute collapse. And the offense looked good. Like you said, the offense looked good for 90% of that game.
you, your O line. I mean, Saquon was gashing them to start the game. I
Yeah.
thought that y'all were gonna tear the game open when I mean Saquon was just averaging about like 9 a pop early on, and y'all's defense was doing real well, holding the Falcons, and I thought the game was gonna get busted wide open, but
Yeah. And Saquon was everywhere and I thought that that opened so much in the passing game and Jalen looked comfortable. I mean, he was targeting over the field, that touchdown to Devontae, that was a dot right between two guys in the back of the end zone and he looked comfortable, he looked good. I will say Kellen Moore overall is a huge improvement and the offense has looked good. But and Vic, I think Vic Fangio is doing good with the defense because we have looked better. But there's still a lot to go for the defense if we do want to make it anywhere in the playoffs. And I'm just baffled by the call. It is something that's like, why take the risk? Like, yes, you can put the game away, but it's so risky that I mean, just look what happened. We lost. We
yeah,
took 2-0. We had a 99.3% chance to win on ESPN or something like that, and it just flipped almost instantly. The most interesting thing from that game was if you look at the percentage, we had a 99.3% chance to win.
Mhm.
And when it flipped over into the Falcons' favor or was severely reduced was when we kicked that field goal. So if the analytics say, like, or like, if you believe that we should have passed the ball, you should have believed. If you want us to be aggressive, you should believe that we should have been aggressive on fourth down as well. And
Yeah.
I also earlier in the game we went for it on fourth and 4 in the red zone.
Mhm.
Beginning of the
Yeah.
game, first drive, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was the first try. It was
Yeah.
I think it was 0-0 still, and y'all went for it.
Yeah, it was
And
0-0, incomplete to Dallas Goddard.
Mhm.
Falcons get the ball back and are able to go up.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that one either. I always think, I mean, to start a game, I mean, I know you want to make a statement, but
Mhm.
I think just always the right move when you've got points in your back pocket to take them. I mean,
Yeah.
unless maybe like within the one and you're
Yeah.
just beyond confident. I mean, it's the Eagles. I mean, they're going to do the tush push if they get at the one. I understand it then,
Yeah.
but in that situation, I probably would have just taken a three and just feel good about getting up.
Yeah, and I agree because like you said, having the points in your back pocket, you get to play up. Even if it's a 3-0 lead, you get to play knowing that
Yeah.
you have some sort of points. And I mean, that would have changed the game if we went for it then. And also, the other thing I hate people not like for saying is 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 like, "Oh, well, it wasn't just one play." Like there are plays throughout the game. Like, okay, yeah, that's true. But the one decision could have changed how the game went in this case. Like, yes, there are things that the entire game could have gone different. Kirk Cousins could have thrown 100 interceptions or something. Like of course that's whatever. But talking about this one play, you can say that should not have happened. Saquon shouldn't have dropped the ball, and I don't think it should have been a call. But and especially this is huge because now the Eagles are going up against the Saints with a huge matchup,
Yeah.
and the Saints have been playing incredibly. I don't with the way the defense performed against the Falcons. I don't think that that's an easy win, if a win at all.
Yeah.
And this is just gonna be a rough 2 weeks for all Eagles fans. Watching Derek Carr have 4 touchdowns, it's not gonna be good.
Clint
But
Kubiak doing some voodoo magic over there. I don't
yeah,
know. Nothing else changed except Clint Kubiak and dude, it's just more Shanahan tree shenanigans.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty much maybe. Well, you don't know. Maybe it's Dennis Allen. Maybe it's Dennis Allen.
Maybe Dennis
Yeah,
Allen
it's
just
maybe it's Dennis Allen. I Their offense looks so amazing, but we'll talk about that later. But I know you can't see me, Carson, but today I'm repping a Bengals jersey. I thrifted. It's an AJ Green, old Bengals
agree.
jersey. Yeah, these things are nice. But so I can't even look in an Eagles uniform right now. But this one's also just really cool. So but
I got
we got
Bryce
huh?
back. I've got the Bryce Young jersey in the back. It's
Ooh.
I can't bear to so on anymore.
Just put it in the closet and close the doors.
Dude,
Don't look.
it's in the very back being hung up. It's behind everything else.
What about your Andy Dalton jersey?
Andy Dalton jersey. Oh yeah, that one's it's in the mail
Yeah,
actually right
it's in
now.
the mail. Yeah, yeah. Well, we got really fast into it, so we didn't get to crack open the sody. So we'll do that now. We'll go ahead and do
All
that.
right,
So get your sody. All right,
I've got my soda.
all right. 3, 2, 1.
Did
That
you?
was super loud. Oh my
I
goodness.
figured it. Yeah, this one was dude. This one had some juice to it.
Oh yeah. Maybe it was just both of them happening at the same time, but geez. All right, so well, we got our sodies. I think we're ready to just dive right into it, right? You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what do you want to talk about first? There's a couple things that we can talk about first. I thought a lot of the teams that struggled in offensively in week one had some great showings. There was a lot of upsets, I think, because of that. There's obviously Bryce Young being benched. Maybe you don't want to talk about that first. Caleb Williams, Packers with Malik Willis. I thought that was really interesting, and I
That was,
I want to talk about how they'll play this week against the Titans.
Mhm.
But so I mean, what do you want to talk about first? Do you want to get into the Bryce Young, or do you want to kind of push that off for a little bit?
Mm. Get to that when we get to it. I guess
Okay.
we can talk about if there's something on your mind, a certain game you want to get to.
Well, for me, I know that the game I was looking forward to, I said this last week, was the Commanders Giants game. I was super excited because I really thought Jaden Daniels in this offense was going to take the next step, and I think that they did, except for in the red zone. 215 yards on the ground. This Washington rush attack is actually scary.
Yeah.
I know they had the ball like most of the game, and they probably shouldn't have won it because they were 0-6 in the red zone, multiple penalties, and they just could not get in the end zone for whatever reason. But they could get down there, um,
Yeah.
very easily. And Jaden Daniels looks really really good. He's accurate. He had 226 yards, 10 rushes, for 44 yards. B Rob looked really good. He had 133 yards. Especially against the Giants, like front seven, that if you look at the roster, is pretty stacked. Brian Burns, Bobby Okereke, Micah McFadden,
I mean,
Tibbs,
it's strong. Going at their
Lawrence.
whole team is their front seven. I mean, that's
Yeah,
by far your strength.
and
And
so
I'm Jaden Daniels has been playing to start the year.
mhm. Yeah, I mean he's been super accurate. I was looking at his pass chart, like the heat map, and now a lot of them are short throws, but he's at least being accurate, and that's the best thing out of all the rookie quarterbacks so far is that he's accurate. He's getting his team to stay on the field. Um, I think that they play the Bengals this weekend, and I think that could be a matchup to really test how good this Washington offense is.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think the Bengals have a bad defense at all, but I think they probably do lack in um, stopping the run, and I think it will be a great evaluation to see for the third week to see if this rushing attack is going to be as good as it was.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely put the Bengals on upset watch. I really like how Jaden Daniels has been playing. I did not think that he would jump out this quick against the game against the Buccaneers. I mean, it looked a little bit rough, but his rushing upside was just it was obvious from the very first game that it was going to carry over. And I mean, he's doing a good job with just mainly like taking care of the ball and just being efficient. And this offense, I don't think anyone really expected them to be where they are already the second game into the year.
Yeah, because I mean, from my perspective, looking at like during free agency, they go and get Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz, and you don't really. I didn't think that those were going to be impactful offensive pieces, right? But Austin Eckler looks like he de-aged about 2 years. Um, I mean, he doesn't necessarily have the production, but when he gets the ball, he's being pretty well utilized. And Zach Ertz looked really good. I think that Jaden Daniels' upsides opens up so much for him because Brian Robinson is so good, and because of Jaden Daniels' rushing upside, he has a little bit easier for passing the ball. Like he has some better matchups and better looks. But he's been playing really well. I think he right now is my favorite for rookie of the year. I think he will end up winning rookie of the year if they keep it going.
Yeah, I think him and Marvin Harrison
Hmm.
are the top with
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I think it's only a matter of time before him and Terry kind of get their connection
Hmm.
going, and then it's just going to be a different monster going up
Yeah.
against their offense.
And you can even see it because week one against the Buccaneers, Terry did not get very many looks. But this week they were giving Terry a lot. I think he had a lot of targets and he had a good amount of receptions. He didn't have a lot of yards. Um,
Yeah,
and he didn't have a touchdown, but he was still looking pretty good. And I
yeah,
think that it's only going to get better in time. I did think last week was going to be the Terry McLaurin breakout. I think if I quote myself correctly, Jade Daniels and Terry McLaurin will be best friends, is what I said.
mhm,
And but I mean, it looks like they're getting there. Looks like they're getting
yeah,
there for sure. And I don't know. That was my matchup of the week. So I watched that whole game and was extremely excited. Malik Neighbors looked good too, and Daniel Jones
oh, yeah,
didn't look Daniel Jones ish. Um, So I
Yep.
mean that's what you want to take away if you're a Giants fan. And honestly, not a bad loss. I mean, your kicker gets hurt and you have to go for two every time. That's just kind of unlucky.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the Commanders, their offense really took form in what I thought there was another offense who did something similar. Is the Patriots, which I thought that their rushing attack was getting solidified, but then you look at it last night, and we'll talk about this later. But you look at it last night, it was nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
But did you? I watched the Cardinals game as well, but did you watch the Raiders game the whole thing, or were you like
Uh,
red
the
zoning?
full against the Ravens.
Yeah.
I watched most of like the second half of it.
hmm Yeah, and that's another offense that I definitely took form. I mean, they're running so much 13 personnel, having the three tight ends out there, and it's doing wonders for Brock Bowers. He had 9 receptions, 98 yards. He looks really good. He looks
He looked
extremely good, and definitely a threat. It's so valuable, especially to the Raiders because they run those 13 personnels because he's a good blocker, and he's probably their second best receiver next to Devontae, obviously.
yeah. I mean, him and Mayer are a great duo for tight
hmm
end. I mean, even if they just come out in 12 personnel, I mean, that's still very hard to defend with their passing game. I mean, that's three big weapons that they've got. I think Antonio Pierce is also just doing a great job
Oh
getting them
yeah,
going.
for sure. And I think if either Zamir White takes the next step, or if they get maybe a running back next year in the draft, Bashal Tutin, Virginia Tech legend. No, but if they can take uh a step at the running back position, they are going to be really really dangerous. Especially this year because it seems that so many teams are having these really good rushing attacks, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
opening up a lot for their offense. And
It,
also just run teams that are really good at running the ball are just so dangerous because I mentioned this last week. The Eagles, when we were 9-0 that year, went to the Super Bowl. We played the Chiefs. We our first loss was to the Commanders because they ran the ball the whole time and had the ball the whole game. And if you don't have the ball, you can't score. And so it's just if you are really good at it, it becomes really dangerous. And I think the teams who are going to become proficient in that are going to have very scary offenses.
Yeah, I mean, those teams that can run the ball, I mean, it makes it way easier to pass. I think a lot of the reason why there was just not a lot of passing going on in week one was just a lot of teams wanted to come out and make a statement against everyone running too high
hmm
recently, just kind of this phenomenon. And they kind of wanted to uh, get their point across that they're going to run the ball and make them get at it too high and just open up the passing game for them. And I think they did that pretty well. But so teams like the Lions that can, I mean,
hmm
they have so many ways to beat you on the ground and in the air. I mean, I think they're just going to really start taking off.
Yeah, and um, did face a road bump this week against the Bucks, but yeah, I mean, if I'm a Lions fan, I'm not worried about that loss. But
Not at
back to
all.
the Raiders. I mean, also they're just so well coached. I was looking at this; they had 3 penalties all game in that game
Mhm.
against the Ravens, and then the game before they also only had 3 penalties. So just playing pretty much mistake-free football besides Gardner Minshew, and he played pretty much mistake-free football in this game against the Ravens, except for that one interception. But second half, I mean, he looked great. Well, the offense looked great overall, and I don't know, it was a huge upset win against the Ravens. And for the flip side, what do you think this means to the Ravens? Because I look at it as, I mean, the Raiders have a good defense, but offensively, um, they weren't really. You expect Lamar and Derrick Henry to kind of it doesn't matter what defense they play, you know. Starting the season 0-2, they played a really good Chiefs defense as well, but you're still not seeing a lot out of the offense, in my opinion. So, I mean,
Yeah.
what do you take for the Ravens after losing this game?
I think that that loss really just showed. I mean, there's a few glaring problems wrong with that team, and I think it starts up front with the offensive line. I think they have been severely overrated because of Lamar Jackson's ability, and they took big hits in last year's free agency and lost a lot of their main people. They've got several young like rookies or sophomore players out there having to start for this offense, and they cannot handle the heat
Mhm.
going up against Max Crosby and Chris Jones in the first 2 weeks. But also, I'm just not sure about John Harbaugh even with them. I
Mm.
think I I would not be a fan of John Harbaugh with the Ravens. I think he's done an awful job the last few years with just putting them in a position to win with how long they kept roaming around
Mhm.
and how poorly they performed in the playoffs. I think a lot of that goes back to him.
That's interesting because I mean, if you do look at their playoff record, it's not great,
Yeah,
and
under Lamar.
especially the Chiefs game last year, they had one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. They passed the ball the whole game,
Yeah, I mean, whether
and
you want to put Harbaugh or Munkin or just the coaching staff as a whole, I think they ran the ball like 5 times in the second half that game.
yeah,
It doesn't matter that you lost Keaton Mitchell earlier. That was a devastating loss. He was really explosive.
yeah,
Came out as a rookie at I think East Carolina, but he they have to run that's their identity. When you drop back and have Lamar pass 50 sometimes a game against an elite secondary, nothing good is going to come from that.
yeah, and I it was almost the same this year, week 1 when they played the Chiefs, but in a reverse sense where they only ran the ball. They only
Yeah,
ran the ball, had the short plays, and there was no mix. I think
yeah,
besides the Isaiah Likely touchdown, I don't think they had any real big explosive plays through the air. And
none that I can.
yeah, exactly. And so I don't know what's going on there, but it seems from like a play calling standpoint that it's very one dimensional. But
Yeah, I
who
think
knows?
uh, also part of the AFC Championship last year. I think Lamar especially was just very hesitant to take off. He always wanted to kind of extend the play and find someone downfield in the AFC Championship. And I think he did the exact opposite uh, starting the year in week 1 against the Chiefs. I think he didn't want to second guess it, and he had heard about it all off season, and he just took off the second he thought something wouldn't be there. And I mean, some could say that it worked out a little better, but I don't know. I think there's a perfect median in between how he played week 1 and the AFC Championship.
Yeah, and it clearly the Ravens are not identifying that. Um, and they're 0-2, which is already bad start. I think it's something like 15% of 0-2 teams make the playoffs. And they're
Jesus
facing
Christ.
0-3 almost because they're playing the Cowboys. And I fear that's another game they have a good shot at losing.
Yeah.
And so something's got to change there quick. And I think that the addition of Derrick Henry, while really good, is completely taking him out of the passing game. It becomes predictable. It becomes
Yeah.
predictable on what you're doing. If every time you uh, if you sub off Derrick Henry,
Mhm.
they know it's like, okay, let's play towards the pass just a little bit because I mean it's obvious.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I think see how their offense changes if and when they get Keaton Mitchell back
yeah,
uh, later into the year.
yeah. And but the third team that I think really their offense really took a jump was the Cardinals. They did look good in the first half of that Buffalo game, but kind of lost it towards the end. But this week they play the Rams, who do have one of the worst defenses in the league. But I think it's because of this game that they are ranked the lowest. I think
Yeah.
they literally have the 32nd ranked defense against the pass, and but it's because the Cardinals put up 489 total yards. Marvin Harrison first half, I'm pretty sure he did all of his work in the first half, but 4 receptions, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cardinals as a whole put up 41 points, and I everyone kind of suspected that the Cardinals were going to have a bounce back year and really improve from what they did last year because I think Kyler seems to be fully healthy. Jonathan Gannon's second year, Marvin Harrison obviously coming in to improve that receiving core. Trey McBride looked really well last year, and now it's all kind of falling together. This Cardinals offense could this whole Cardinals team actually could be a playoff team and a pretty good one at that because their defense looks pretty good. I mean, keeping Josh Allen in check the week before, that's not hard to do. And also keeping Sean McVay in check.
Yeah,
That's hard to do too. So I think this Cardinals team has a lot more potential than people thought heading to the year. And I think they're probably I would honestly give them the top 10 team in the league.
I think I wouldn't disagree. I think they've played phenomenal to start the year.
And it was worrying seeing Marvin Harrison only have the one reception week 1, but clearly they can get him involved. I think they took that uh,
Yeah,
personal, as MJ would say.
yeah.
But
I wouldn't have been worried if I was a Cardinal fan after week 1. I mean, just a rookie receiver. It's only a matter of time before he would get going, and he did get going in the second week, pretty quick.
yeah, I mean first half, pretty much. I mean, I will say I think that they do need to look at him more often because he only had 4 receptions, and maybe that's from more of a fantasy standpoint. Is like making sure that he's getting the targets he needs. But I mean, it didn't even seem like he needed more targets that game. But
More of
yeah,
it comes from I mean, they wrapped that game up real fast.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I think
he, he jumped out of the gate, and the Rams were not keeping up.
yeah. But yeah, so I think that those are the 3 offenses in that took form this week, and was really hoping for it, especially the Commanders. I'm an Eagles fan, but this Commanders team is very fun to root for.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to see if any other teams start putting together. Hopefully the Ravens. Um, the Jets also kind of put it together last night. This is Friday, so Week 3 Thursday Night Football happened last night, and the Jets kind of put it together last night and stomped out that game against the Patriots, where they were only 6.5 point favorites. Ended up winning 21-3. Or did the Jets score, or did the Patriots score at the end of that game? I turned it off
I,
right before Drake May got in.
I had turned it off too after I had seen some Drake May a little
Yeah.
bit, but I didn't at the very end.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to talk about some storylines from this week. Um, and I think first up, sadly for you, we're going to be talking about the Bryce Young benching. And just to preface it, give it a little bit of context. Bryce Young in his career, he's 2-16. Uh, he has 11 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and in the last 4 games, including last year. So these last 2 and the 2 before that, the team has scored 13 total points. So Dave Canales had the decision to go ahead and bench Bryce Young for Andy Dalton, and so I kind of want to talk about the good reasons, maybe why you think he did that, and then we'll go over the good reasons and the bad reasons. And what do we expect from Andy Dalton?
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean,
So we'll go ahead and
boy, you
why
know,
why do you think that the Panthers went ahead and did this?
I think it is pretty evident that Bryce has regressed from last year, and the offense is you almost can't evaluate any of the receivers that we have or how the offensive line has. I mean, he's making the offensive line look worse with how he's played, but you have no clue what you have in Deontay Johnson or Xavier Leggett yet. I mean, he hasn't gotten him the ball, and he's just. I think his confidence is completely shot, and he he just can't do anything with it anymore. I think they broke him, and he just at least needs a break, and hopefully Andy Dalton can uh, show something.
Yeah, and now would you say you agree with the benching? Because I want to go ahead and ask you that. Do you think it was good?
Uh, to an extent, I think it shouldn't be the answer for the rest of the season, unless I mean Andy Dalton comes out like slinging it and looks great, which I'm not sure the odds of that. You know, maybe he'll have a legacy game like he does for every team that he's the backup for, and then starts a game. But I don't know. I mean, if he looks relatively the same, then I don't think there's much of a reason to continue doing that. You have an old veteran as opposed to the number one overall pick last year who has 18 games under his belt. And I mean, you never know when he could flip the switch and maybe something
Mhm.
just clicks for him in a game. So I think you play him just to try and see what you have from him. And just from what they gave up for him, you have to stick with him now. There's not a very quick turnaround for this. I mean, you have to stick with him for at least the rest of this year and probably next year as well.
Yeah, and I agree. I think a good amount of people, including myself, thought that Bryce was going to have a QB2 kind of more of a breakout year. I don't think the Panthers are going to make
Yeah.
playoffs or anything, but he himself would look better. And I was watching a
Yeah.
video today of some of his highlights from last year. And last year, I'm just confused on where the confidence was lost. Do you think it's in those last two games where you guys got shut out last year? Because I mean,
I
he was making good throw. He had a good throw at least every game, and you thought, okay, like, let's just improve the team, and he will take that step. And now you're not seeing any of that really, and he
yeah,
looks hesitant. He looks scared, and you know, the pocket presence has even gotten worse. I, there
yeah,
was
his pocket presence has been
there
really
there
bad.
was a specific example in the Saints game where he has a wide open rushing lane right in front of him, like to step up in the pocket, not even rush, but to step up in the pocket, and he decides to bounce out and get sacked from behind because he doesn't take the easy route right in front of him because I think he's scared to step up in the pocket.
And there was and even more there was a worse example the week after against the Chargers where it was a third down. I think we were about the 35-yard line. It was like 3rd and 4, and there was a wide open pocket to step up, and Thielen was running
Oh,
just all by himself down the field,
hmm,
and he could have stepped up and hit him right there. It would have been maybe like a 40-yard throw. I mean, it's a throw he can make, and he decided to kind of bail way out to the left and held on to the ball, didn't throw it away, trying to make a play, and got sacked and took him out of field goal range and going for it. I mean, that's and I don't know. And Thielen was he was visibly upset
hmm,
after that, as he should be.
yeah,
But I don't know. I mean, Canales was saying that he wants to have him push the ball down the field more. He just said that yesterday, and I think the reason that they haven't shown it is I'm not sure that it's just in Bryce's arsenal right now. I think his confidence is shot. He has a below average NFL arm, and I just think that deep shots are not going to happen with how he's always kind of been programmed as the guy that's supposed to make the smart plays and not turn the ball over, really not take chances.
yeah, and I think that honestly, I think that the benching is good for that reason
Yeah,
because I think that is a way for him to get his confidence back. Earning back that starting role can, I mean, obviously your confidence is going to be crushed by being benched, but if he's
yeah.
able to earn that starting role back, I think that's one way to get his confidence back up. But is the main problem his confidence, or do you really think that he just might not be it? Because, like you said, he is a undersized NFL arm. He's an undersized player in himself. He's not the fastest guy, so he doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily have um, the intangibles of not intangibles, but the talents that QBs like Anthony Richardson have,
yeah.
or Lamar have, or Mahomes or Josh Allen. So, do you think that it's more of a confidence issue or for a issue of his game not translating to the NFL?
I think right now it's a confidence issue. I mean, I think it happened last year just with how bad the line was. I think he built a lot of bad habits, and he's always because of his height just been he plays toesy. He's on his tippy toes. I don't think that's because he can't see over him. I think it's just he just plays that way, and uh, it makes his footwork is probably his biggest uh just downside right now. I mean, his footwork is awful. He can't put enough power behind his throws, and it causes for a lot of inaccuracy, which you didn't really see at Alabama.
Hmm.
And I don't know, he's missing stuff that he normally wouldn't, and that I think he would have made those plays in college. And so yeah, I mean, I don't think he threw a pass further than 12 yards last Sunday against the Chargers, and I'm not sure he's had a game where he's thrown it more than like 35 times. And the one game Andy Dalton started last year, he threw the ball 56 times. So I'm definitely going to look for how much they want Andy Dalton to drop back uh, and pass the ball, and if they push the ball down the field. Because if they do with Dalton, then that tells me about everything I need to know.
Yeah. And now I think this is another good thing about the benching is maybe Bryce gets benched and can take a lot more from watching Andy Dalton play. Now Andy
Yep.
Dalton's not some Hall of Famer, but he's a pretty solid NFL quarterback, and
Yeah.
I think that Bryce being able to maybe learn and being in the game atmosphere and being able to take things straight from that game atmosphere. I mean, it's not like it hasn't uh, proven itself before that veteran QBs kind of leading younger QBs in the locker room. That's a proven system. And
Yeah.
I think that that is one of the good things. And I do think this should be a couple weeks. I do not think
Yeah.
that I
I
think
agree.
that Bryson really needs to earn it back. And
Mhm.
I think that's one of the things we saw in training camp when we went to Panthers training camp. Bryce wasn't really throwing the ball down the field. I think he had those two passes. One was picked, and one was a terrible throw that the receiver just kind of ran back for. And you kind of thought like, okay, this isn't looking great, but still, there's still the potential to move the ball, and especially with Deontay Johnson, Xavier Legette, and Chuba being so good, and the additions of some people on the offensive line.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the interior offensive line has played stellar. And I mean, to say the least, they've been great. And it's just disappointing to see how he's kind of regressed. But yeah, I hope he can learn a thing or two. I think
yeah,
it's for the best, maybe, that he sits behind Dalton a little bit.
yeah, and I think it's also the best thing for your franchise. Like you guys did give up a lot for him, you're gonna have to stick with him for the most part, right? So let him learn. Like you guys have time. Let him learn. Let him get back into being comfortable. I think it says a lot because like Sam Darnold sat behind Brock Purdy for a year. He hasn't looked amazing his whole career. Um, but he sits behind, learns from a system, gets in touch, and now he looks great with the Vikings. And I think that says a lot about. There are a lot of quarterbacks who do that, and I think I don't see a huge downside, except the only thing that I think bad about the benching is he's losing game experience. So let's say
Yeah.
like in the end, next season, midway through, he's still looking bad. Maybe you look back at it and be like, we should have just stuck with him and tried to get him as much experience as possible. I think that's the only bad and potential regret that the Panthers might have, but otherwise, I see this as a good thing. And I don't know why people are talking about you guys are going to trade Bryce Young. Did you see Chase Daniel?
Yeah, no, that was. I
Did you
think
see that?
that's pretty stupid. I mean, he would have as little trade value as he's ever had, and that's stupid because I really think that someone else could probably turn him around. I mean,
Yeah,
that'd be the most Panthers way for it to happen is the Dolphins or the Rams get him, and you give him like an offensive coach like that, and I think they'd figure out what's wrong with him pretty quick and they'd turn it around. So
yeah,
I think you just got to give him some time and see if he can have something click for him while he sits behind Dalton.
yeah. And um, for context, people who didn't see the Chase Daniel thing, he was on a sports show and he was talking about how there should be a three-team trade where the Dolphins get Bryce Young, the Rams get a second and a third rounder, and the Panthers get Matthew Stafford. I don't know what GM in the league would authorize that.
But I think
That is one of the worst 3-team trades I've ever seen.
It was something where I'm pretty sure the Panthers wouldn't get either of the I don't know if this was someone different, but it was like the same three teams, and they were the Panthers would just get the picks from them, and the
Maybe.
other two teams
Oh,
trade like
I
Stafford,
yes.
and like they one of them get Bryce, one get Stafford, and stuff
Yes,
like that. But
I did confuse. The Panthers would get the picks, the Dolphins
yeah,
would get Matthew Stafford, and then the Rams would get Bryce Young.
yeah,
Why in the
he,
world would any of those teams do that? That literally makes no sense for any of those teams. So, I there's no trade value like you said, and why would you even trade him for a fraction of what you traded for to get him?
yeah,
So it's just it's one of those things where you have to be patient, and people don't like to be patient. So I think that as long as I think that Dave Canales did a great job with Baker, and I don't see why he couldn't help Bryce. So I think
yeah.
that the benching is just an overall good thing. But I do want to ask before we move on to talking about Caleb Williams and his struggles as well. I want to like, what do you expect from Andy Dalton? I think you mentioned pushing the ball down the field, but do we expect a win? I think. Who do you guys play this week? You
We
guys play the
play Las Vegas.
Raiders. Yeah. So, do you expect a win with Andy Dalton? Do you expect what do you expect? Let me just ask that.
Uh, I don't expect to win. I'm not sure I'll expect to win this year, but um, I would be more than happy if it's a close game, and I would be even more than happy if we could score a touchdown, dare I say two, with Andy Dalton. And but I mean, the main thing I'm looking for is again, just I want to see if the ball gets pushed down the field more, and at least just if they're trying to take shots down the field, because that's something that Bryce really hasn't done. I mean, his deep ball has been very inconsistent. I mean, he has not really connected on any in his career, like any deep balls, and uh, maybe that's why he doesn't want to push the ball down the field. But I'd at least like to see him try. So
Yeah.
I would like to see that from Dalton at least.
Uh, I think that sentiment is something very similar to what I was saying after week one, where, you know, I ranked that Bo Nix had a better performance than Caleb Williams simply because he was throwing the ball. He was trying to get it down the field and attempting things.
Yeah,
And that's really what you want to see from a young quarterback is the attempt at doing things because they don't have to be perfect because they are young. So,
yeah,
yeah, and I agree. I think that you guys will look better. I think that this week, I think the main issue will be I think the defense will get exposed just a little bit.
yeah.
Especially now Derek Brown's out. I think the defense gets a little bit more exposed, but hey, that just means more time for your offense to be on the field, more chances.
Yeah. I
Are you
guess
excited
so.
about more chances on offense? You don't sound like it.
Not normally. I really don't like seeing our offense normally, but yeah, I guess we'll see what Andy Dalton's got.
Yeah. Um. So let's go ahead and move on to the Caleb Williams and his struggles against the Texans. Did you watch the game
Yeah, I watched the
first?
game.
Yeah. So as I've mentioned before, I live with Bears fans, and my girlfriend's a Bears fan. So this watching this game was not very fun. I don't think for anybody who was watching it, I don't think it was very fun. Uh, None of my parlays hit. I had homework due,
I had
and
Nico Collins in fantasy. It was fun for me for
well,
once.
yeah, it was fun for you, I guess. I had Joe Mixon in fantasy, and he put up
Oh,
a stinker and got hurt. So it was
yeah,
really
just
just not a good game
major.
for any of us watching. It was a very silent game besides yelling. So, but I did think, or we'll say this. I'll say the good before the bad. Caleb Williams at least took shots,
Mhm.
and he has the ability to make plays. You saw
Yeah,
that, especially with that sack. He avoided Daniil Hunter, and he
yeah, he
scrambles outside the
spun right out.
pocket. A dart. It was to the defense, but it was a dart, and so I think the talent is very clear still. The accuracy is still rough, um,
Yeah,
but the big play potential is there. Uh, Now, I think the biggest reason for his struggles is the interior O line. I want you to listen to this. So, Next Gen Stats said the Texans had 36 pressures on Caleb Williams. Okay, so that's already bad. Okay,
Yeah.
but he had a total of 48 dropbacks. So 36 times out of 48 dropbacks, he was pressured. I think that's a record. If I believe, I think that is a actual NFL record for percentage of pressure in a game. But the interior O line really, really needs to step it up. Ryan Bates is on IR, one of their guards, but it was very clear in the Titans game too. You saw Tavondre Sweat. My favorite image from Week 1.
Oh yeah.
It was actually really close with the Will Levis clip. Was Tavondre Sweat just shoving the Bears center like he was using the force. He was just like shoving him back, and he was like just flying. And so you could even see it in that game. In this game, it was even more apparent. And
Yeah.
something needs to change there. I thought that the first drive they did a really good job of kind of getting him settled because they came out and I think they had 3 running backs out and
Mhm.
just kind of protected him. And I thought that was a good idea, but obviously you can't run that the whole game. But I think they did a good job of him getting settled. But for anything, to see how good Caleb Williams really is, we were gonna need to see a beef up in that offensive line. I don't know who their center is. Let's look it up. There's center, but he has been playing awful. I don't know how young this guy is. Let's see.
Who is it?
I'm trying to look. Who's the starter? Hold on, let me go to the depth chart. Coleman Shelton.
Yeah. Hey, with
And
the rain.
I think so. Let me look. His former team's bio.
Yeah, whoever that is,
Yeah,
you
he
need to
was on the
step up.
Rams. And he has, I think, single-handedly been selling this team's games. If you look at the rest of their depth chart, um, their interior goes Tevin Jenkins at left guard, Coleman Shelton at center, and then Nate Davis at right guard. Ryan Bates is on IR, and Nate Davis is questionable, and so we might see Bill Murray. We might see Bill Murray play right guard for the Bears this
Dang.
week.
How did they get him out there?
I don't know. I don't know how they got him out there. He must have a fat contract.
That's it.
If Bill Murray's out there, they might as well just forfeit the game. I don't know if Caleb Williams will be able to touch the ball before the snap
I'll
gets
pray
there.
for it before the game if they say Bill Murray's starting.
I think I have a better shot than Bill Murray at being an NFL offensive lineman. But anyways, uh, but yeah, the interior offensive line just really needs to get in check, and I honestly don't think that the offense isn't. I don't think is being called bad. I think that there's good play calls, and they obviously have a good receiving room. DeAndre Swift. I know
Mhm.
DeAndre Swift. Okay, he barely put up 1,000 yards on the best O line in the league. He was not. He is not good. I don't know why the Bears got him. First sign of
I
free
would.
agency, too. Yeah, I think Khalil Herbert's better. I think Roshan Johnson's better.
Agree.
And so I think the only way they can get this going is beef up the interior line. But I don't know how that would happen. Maybe when Ryan Bates comes back from IR.
I mean,
But
maybe.
still, the center problem is that's the most glaring issue is the center.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I don't see a team giving up their center.
No, I
No
don't think
team is
this is
gonna.
something that can be fixed within this year. I think it's just got to be something that happens in the off season. They've got to sure up, but
Yeah.
wouldn't. I mean, you just got to protect Caleb for this season. Really, just
Hmm.
make sure he doesn't get hurt behind this offensive line because I think he's still going to be completely fine. I think he's shown
Oh
enough flashes. I think the misses that people are seeing is just they'll start connecting when he
Yeah.
builds some more chemistry with the guys and once he gets a little more comfortable.
I mean, yeah, for sure. And he did have 2 interceptions in that game. Um, but one was on the play we were talking about earlier, and the other was on a kind of a short throw to DJ Moore. I think that you're right. You're entirely right. There's no real fixing this season, so just they have to make sure Caleb Williams' knee is intact. Both of his knees are completely fine. His shoulders need to be fine. There needs to be no wear and tear for the next season. Um,
I mean, the only kind of fix that you can try and make from a coaching standpoint is just, I guess, trying to get the ball out as quick as possible.
mhm. Which he
Just
did a better job. I will say they mentioned that in the broadcast that week one he was holding the ball too long, but he was below the median most of the time during that Texans game. So they're doing a better job at that. I just think that they're not going to have a lot of success because you can't throw the ball short the whole game.
yeah,
And yeah, but so I think Caleb Williams has been solid, and I think he will be fine. Just not right now. Not right now. And that's one of the things to me why I thought they should have gone guard instead of Adunze. Um, you know, they're
yeah,
they're one of their offensive linemen retired, and you're looking at just a naturally. I mean, when someone retires, you need a replacement. They didn't really have a good replacement for him, and then you pick a wide receiver 3 when you just got Keenan Allen. I think wide receiver 3 is not the most important position that you should target, especially when you have a rookie quarterback. Yeah, you want to have weapons, but you have DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet. I mean, they thought DeAndre Swift was a weapon, so I don't know. I think that becomes a head scratching move. Like Atunte is obviously good, but it becomes a head scratching move because of the needs of the Bears. So but like you said, they'll got to take care of it in the draft or free agency next season. But yeah, so we'll see. Um,
mhm.
I think let me see how long. So I think we're almost at an hour. So we'll probably talk about one more thing and then go ahead and wrap up. Is that okay with you?
Yep, it's cool.
So we'll do one more thing and then do our quick week 2 predictions. We'll just fly through it. And yeah, so we'll do that. Did you have any waiver wire pickups for this week? Any special ones?
I can shout out a couple people
Okay,
that
so
I
go
think
ahead and give me 2 waiver wire
uh,
pickups uh for you, and then I'll do 2, okay?
all right. I think if you're looking for a wide receiver, I would definitely try and go get Jordan Whittington. I have already done that in my fantasy league. And I think that with the injuries to Puka and Cooper Cup, it's just him and Demarcus Robinson. And I think Whittington will carve out a nice role there. And running back wise, in light of Pacheco going down, I would try and pick up Carson Steele. I think he might be able to be the main guy behind him while he's out for now. And if they're available, I would definitely go get them.
Yeah, and I agree about Carson Steele. Jordan Whittington, not so much. I think that Demarcus Robinson's already kind of that established wide receiver 3. I think he's just going to fill in for that role. And he's actually my first guy for waiver wire. So I think Demarcus Robinson, he's my number 1 guy. And my second guy is a little bit, um, I wouldn't say obscure, but you're probably not looking at him in your fantasy leagues. Is Jalen Naylor, wide receiver for the Vikings. Jordan Addison is out again. Jay Jettas is questionable, so if he doesn't play,
Yep.
Jalen Naylor is going to be the wide receiver 3. He's played 60% of the first downs. When Justin Jefferson left last week's game for the Vikings, he was playing that wide receiver role. Just immediately filled in for him. He had 9.1 in the first game, and he had 14.4 in his second game, and he's got 2 touchdowns, one in each week. So I really think that, maybe deeper leagues taking a look at him and maybe scooping him up before um, something big happens. I think that it's a great addition if you're looking for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we'll go ahead and do our week 2 predictions. Wow, we had so much more to talk about on this doc. I think I maybe went overboard this week.
Yeah, a little bit.
Maybe it's okay. It's okay. We always have next week. Um, so first we'll do the first kind of set of games here on the dock. First Giants Browns. Give me, who do you think?
I think the Browns are taking that at home.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Giants front seven, especially with I got a notification. I think it was Brian Burns being put as questionable. I think that Giants front seven is not going to deal just be it's going to be inefficient, and the Browns are just going to run the ball the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Bears Colts.
This one's a little tough. I know Buckner
Really?
just got put on IR.
Mm-hmm.
I I really like the Bears defense. Richardson has had a rough week. I
Mm-hmm.
take the Bears.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bears too. Their defense is spectacular, and the one shining aspect of this Bears team is that secondary and even that front seven is really good. Um, I think the Bears run away with this game pretty much. I think the Colts have struggled against the run all year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Josh Jacobs ran over them all last week. I think that the Bears pretty much go ahead and shut. I wouldn't. You know what? No, shut them out. They shut them out. I'll take a stand. Um,
They're
I think they'll shut them out, and I really don't think the Colts are going to play well in this game. And I think the Bears take it. All right, Texans Vikings. This is a tough
gonna.
game for me.
It's pretty tough. I think the Texans are going to come in there, and I'm interested to see how Sam Darnold deals with the Texans
Hmm.
defense. That's what
Yeah,
I'm looking for. I think the Texans take it.
I'm taking the Vikings in this one. I think the Texans are an upset watch. I'm taking the Vikings. I think that Sam Darnold is a lot better than people think that he is, and I think that if Justin Jefferson comes back, and I think he is, but if not, I still think that the Vikings can upset the Texans on this one. All right, Eagles Saints. This pains my heart, but who are you taking?
I'm torn on this one too. I'm not sure, but I might just recency bias tells me to pick the Saints there. I mean, I don't know. I want to see them. I don't know who can stop them right now. I'll need to see it. I'll believe it when I see it, but I'm gonna pick the Saints.
Yeah, I'm taking the Saints too. I think Alvin Kamara might have 80 touchdowns this week. Our run defense has not looked good. Our pass defense has looked better, but I don't think we haven't been able to get pressure all year. I'm taking the Saints in this one. I'm mostly just hoping that our offense it looks improved, but
Yeah,
the Saints have a good defense, really good
yeah.
offense. Yeah, Saints all the way. Chargers Steelers.
The Grit Bowl,
Yeah, for
our
real, the Grit Bowl.
two teams that just want to run it down your throat.
Yeah.
Man, Chargers looked really good, but that's the Panthers' tax. Steelers also. I mean, just Tomlin and his voodoo. I think I'm gonna take the Steelers in this one.
I'm gonna go ahead and take the Chargers. I think Justin Fields struggles um against uh the Chargers defense. They haven't looked great offensively in any of these games, and I think that continues. And I think I'm gonna put my money on Justin Herbert. I know the Steelers have a great defense, but they've been able to create in the past couple games, so I'm gonna go ahead and take the Chargers. Broncos Buccaneers. Yeah,
I'm not gonna predict a Bo Nix breakout game against the Titans
yeah,
defense. I'm taking the Buccaneers at home.
yeah, and I'm in agreement with you. I don't. This Buccaneers team looks pretty solid. It's gonna be fun to see who wins the NFC South. Unlike last year. Unlike last year. All right, Packers Titans. This is a matchup I'm honestly also excited about this week.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Love will be playing. I saw he was questionable now, but I mean, if I were them, I'd probably play it safe. And if that's the case, then I'd probably I think I'd pick the Titans to get a bounce back.
Yeah, same. I that Packers team, if Malik Willis is starting, they're gonna run the ball. They kind
Yeah.
of told us that last week against the Colts, and the Titans have the best interior uh, rush defense in the league. So I think they're gonna have struggles running the ball, and I think I'm crossing my fingers for another funny Will Levis clip. Uh,
Oh
I
yeah,
am
yeah.
crossing my fingers, but I think
That's
they
kind
do
of we
come out
popped
and
the
win.
week one with the jump man
The
last
jump,
week. That was
oh
fun.
my goodness, the Jumpman one is hilarious. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So hopefully he can top it again, but yeah, I'm taking the Titans. All right,
Yeah.
Panthers Raiders.
I'm taking the Raiders.
Yeah, we've talked about the Panthers enough today to take the Raiders. Just that Raiders defense is really good, and I think
Mm,
yeah, I don't think I need to say anything else. I think the Raiders are gonna run away with that one. Dolphins Seahawks. Thompson, Skylar Thompson.
I'm
He's gonna be
taking the
starting.
Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm gonna take
Mothman.
the Seahawks as well. Uh, Lions Cardinals. This is a good game. I think
Good
this
one. I
is
think
one of
the
the late
Lions
slates.
defense. Yeah, the Lions defense has been uh, reluctant to stop the pass, so that could result in Kyler and Marvin Harrison having another breakout game. But I also trust Dan Campbell and the Lions. I think Dan Campbell gets them going on the road for a win, bounce back.
Yeah, this is gonna be close, and I think um, the Lions are clearly have some issues on defense from last week, um, losing to the Bucks. But I am gonna take the Lions in this one. I think the 1-2 punch of Dave Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs is. I mean, what are you gonna do about it? Pretty much. And
Yeah,
I think the Lions. I think it'll be really, really close, but I think the Lions will win that one. Ravens Cowboys. So
at Jerry's World, I think the Ravens are gonna get their first win.
really, really.
I,
Hmm.
I think they're gonna bounce back. I think Lamar's gonna have a great game.
Now I hope for that. I hope for that, but I do think that the Cowboys pull out a close one. I think um,
Could happen.
I think that the Cowboys defense is good enough to kind of put a Ravens team on its heels that's not really been able to go get anything done on offense all year. So I'm going to take the Cowboys. 49ers Rams. These are always fun. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
NFC West matchup. I just think the Rams have their injuries are building up too much, and
Mhm.
I'm not sure they can hold the 49ers who just came off a well did they the
No, they lost.
yeah they lost to
Yeah.
the on Monday night. Hmm. Yeah, I'd take the 49ers.
Yeah. They lost to the Vikings, and I think
Or the yeah, the Vikings.
yeah, they lost to the
Yeah,
Vikings.
Monday night game. They beat the Jets. I was
Yeah.
wondering. I was like, they won that game, right? But yeah, they
Yeah.
just lost to the Vikings and Sam Darnold.
Yeah, so but I do think that 49ers defense, like you said, the injuries on the O line, especially for the Rams, are piling up, and I think the
Yeah.
49ers win that one. All right, we got 3 games left in 3 minutes left. So let's go ahead and so Chiefs Falcons. What do you think?
This is this is interesting. I did
Hmm.
just see that the Falcons owner Arthur Blank is giving out some free concessions for people that are going to the game. Try and get the bins rocking for Sunday night
Oh,
game, which
okay.
I respect. I think I think it will be rocking, but I don't know if I like their odds against the Chiefs. I think Mahomes still gets the win there in Atlanta.
Yeah, seems like Mahomes just always figures out a way to win. I don't like betting against Mahomes. He is just so good, and Steve Spagnuolo. Kirk is going to struggle like he did in Week 1 against the Steelers because of the pressure, and I think Steve Spagnuolo is going to dial up something that the Falcons' offense isn't going to be able to handle. So I'm taking the Chiefs. All right, we'll move on to both Monday night games. We got 2 this week, which is
Doubleheader.
odd, but so we got Jaguars and Bills first up. So what do you think?
I I think I like the Bills in this. I think the Jaguars are just they're on a slippery slope now.
Hmm.
I'm taking Buffalo at home.
Yeah, total agreement. And we'll go ahead and finish up with Commanders Bengals. This again, this Commanders team, it's like every week, it's my game of the week.
I'm very interested to see I mean, all the matchups, the Commanders' run game against the Bengals defense, and then the Dan Quinn defense against Joe Burrow and company. I think the Bengals will get it done at home, though.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you once again. I think that the Commanders will take this one to a very surprisingly good start. I think it'll be close. That might be my fantasy bias though. Stepping in, I got Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, so that might that might be my bias. But all right, so that's all the games. We'll check back next week. I got a lot wrong last week. I'll go ahead and let you know. There were so many upsets. I kind of played it safe last week, and I got about 60% of them wrong. So, and that was just in the noon slate. So, no, but all right. Well, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and thank you for listening. This podcast is produced by Student Media. Student Media is a student organization at the University of Evansville. Student Media produces the Crescent magazine published online and in print 3 times a semester. Student Media produces several podcasts and utilizes design, photography, video, and sound towards experimental and academic learning in journalistic endeavors and engaging storytelling. Student Media elevates the voice of the student body and connects the campus and community to important information and points of view.